So this is the consistency of the perlite concrete mix. You want to be able to make kind of like a, you want to like kind of hold its shape. Right, so it took 3 days, but I'm finally there. That's what it looks like on the first coat. We're gonna use this arch for our brickwork when we get it outside after we build our platform. So that's our next step. I'm gonna let this cure. This is all I'll pick it apart. We're gonna let this really cure good before we try moving it out of here. So there you go, inside the pizza oven. This thing is super heavy. Some of it's gonna come apart. It's okay. My hands, you're gonna get bruised. Get help. I got the muscle here. So we're gonna put this back on the platform outside and cover it with a tarp until we're ready, after we get our platform ready over here, and then we'll worry about the pizza oven. But this is as far as we're gonna go with this until we get the platform done. Just follow us, son. Get back on this thing, wait, bud. Stairs. Watch your hands. Okay. We're outside. I'm happy. It's good. Alright, so that's what it looks like with the edger. I kind of floated it the best I could. Like I said, I'm no concrete guy by any means. I don't think it looks too bad. I didn't want a brushed look, I just want the nice smooth top. So hopefully it doesn't rain tonight. Okay, so I mortared the first course because the pad wasn't exactly level. I had it pitched one way so the water would run off. But I got the cinder blocks level, you saw that. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna mortar them all together because I got some liquid nails, construction adhesive, and we're gonna glue them together. And then if I need to, I will fill the cracks with some mortar when I'm all done. and then we can get moving with this countertop. Fast motion, here we go. All right, so I'm all done putting my blocks up. You can see all the gaps between them. I'm going to go mix up some grout and put it in a grout bag, and then just go through and fill the cracks on both sides. And I'm just gonna fill them in. This would have taken me forever because I'm no stonemason. This is definitely a quick way to do it. We'll see how well it holds up. All right, we got all the cracks filled in. This is what it looks like. All right, well, you can't stop Mother Nature, so it's raining today. So I put up a canopy over where I'll be working. The base is dry. I'm gonna make my form. Just gonna use some plywood and a bunch of 2x6, 2x4 I had laying around. Bump it out 1.5 inches all the way around, and then come up so we make a 4-inch deep form. I got my form in. I got my rebar all twisted together, and it's supported by some stones. Now I went through and I did 4 corners. I filled the cores with concrete. I saw some other guy do this before. I had some tar paper laying around, and I just covered the holes, and hopefully that's enough to stop it from falling in there. But I don't have enough concrete to do, fill all the cores and the top, so that's why I did the 4 corners. Alright, so as you saw, we took off the form and nothing collapsed, which is a win. The plywood's still underneath. I really don't care. It's not going to get wet, so I could just leave that forever. Okay, so we moved it onto its pedestal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a marker. I'm going to trace around the way it's sitting, and then I'm going to move it out of the way again, and then put all my fire bricks down, and then we'll put our igloo back on top. So what I'm going to do is my fire bricks, I couldn't find 1.5 inches or 4, whatever these are, 3-inch thick fire bricks. So what I have is 1.5 inches. So I need to Portland cement and perlite together and do 1.5 inches of that within this thing that I've traced on here. So I'm just going to mix some of that up, put it down here, and just let it cure. And then I'm going to put my fire bricks on top of that. This is not exactly cured completely. I can take these and kind of hit the high spots. It's a little bit thicker than I wanted because the way this thing's gonna be, here's my paver bricks, and I wanted them to be this high, so it's all the same height. But I'm gonna have I guess I'll put them up on a mortar bed. I'm laying out my fire bricks now to kind of get an idea. I'm gonna lay these out in the herringbone pattern. Whatever's hanging over, I'm gonna mark and then go cut, place back on here. And then we're going to gently take our igloo and put it on top. Okay, so I got it all trimmed up. I'm not worried about any of these gaps here because the pizza oven itself is going to be sitting over top of all that. It's basically just there for support to hold the weight of this thing. I'm going to wait for my son to come home because I cannot lift that by myself, obviously. And then we're going to place it on top of this. All right, so we successfully put it on here. You can see the gap. There's a gap here. I'm going to fill this with more perlite and cement to get rid of that and seal it right up. Okay, so I mixed up my last batch and went around and kind of attached the top to the bottom and covered up all the fire bricks all the way around. So now you can look inside. I tried to shove it into the cracks as best I can, but you don't see any light in here anymore. And that should do the job of you know, sealing it the top to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, while this is still wet, is I'm going to go around and put these screws into the part that I just put on here, and put some screws like that, so that way when I put my fiber mesh on, I'll have something to wrap my the wire around to pull everything nice and tight. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut all my bricks ahead of time before I go and get the mortar mixed up. This is just basically one brick that I had sliced in half. I started off using a 4-inch angle grinder, and it wouldn't cut through the bricks all the way, so I had to break down, and I got out my tile saw, and it worked great. As you can see, like all these bricks are just cut in an L shape to go around here. And before I do this arch, I'm going to put a couple pieces of shim under here so I can get this out very easily once it's all hardened. But it's all got to get, I'm going to mortar up each side today. This piece was a little big, so I had to put 2 pieces in there or whatever. I'll just have to live with it. And then I kind of ended the sides with a kind of a weird cut, but it is what it is. I'm going to make it look as good as I can. All right, so the arch is up. It was a little bit challenging and took a lot of finagling, but I don't think it came out too bad. So my daughter came up with a good idea. I don't know how I was gonna not have mortar fall in there, but she said, just use some newspaper. Sometimes it's right in front of you and you don't even think of it, but I'm glad she was there to help me out. I have shims underneath here so that I can pull this out and drop it down enough to take it out without disturbing it too much. All right, it's been about 24 hours. I don't really want to take my support out of here, but you can see how I got mortar on top here. You can just take a wire brush while this stuff's still kind of loose, and you can just knock it off, make it look nice. Now you can see where I've missed some of the spots here. You know, I'm missing, you know, in here and things like that. Once I brush off all the excess, I'm gonna go around and look and see what I got to do, and then we'll go and we'll point the remainder of the bricks that need to be pointed before we go any further. I'm sure there's going to be some more touch-ups we're going to have to do up inside here once I take the support off, but I'm going to wait another day and give it a good time to rest and completely cure before we do that. Okay, so it's been a bunch of days. I'm going to take these shims out. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. It rained. Let's get my tripod. Get a better video of this. So we had a lot of rain here, and I think what happened was the wood shims that I use underneath, they swelled up, so now everything's bound together. And of course I screwed these face boards on from both sides because I'm an idiot. So I'm gonna do my best to try and dismantle this so we can get this out of here. So I got the face piece off, but I have another 2x6 in the back of this particle board. But here's my shims. You can tell by this newspaper, it's soaking wet newspaper. Everything's swelled up, and it's all there. Okay, so this is what she looks like on the inside. This newspaper really helped because all this that fell down in them would have been stuck to my fire bricks. So that was a good thing. It's all nice and clean in there. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna point all these areas that didn't get mortar fully into them, and probably do that before I go too much further. But we're gonna start building the chimney. I bought a 4-foot piece. I'm probably gonna just put this so it's eye level. So I'm probably just gonna go up with maybe 3 feet, and then I'm gonna put a little cap on it. The higher the pipe, the better the draft you get, and it'll pull the smoke up, and you know, everything will work properly. Instead of having flames shoot out the front of the oven, it should go up the pipe. So I made this makeshift chimney. The pipe is just resting in there. I have mortar all around it. There's a lot of mortar here. You're not going to see that when I'm all done. Just want a pizza already. I got a fiber blanket that I'm going to insulate the top of this with. So the blanket I got's 2 feet by 32 inches. So I don't know if it's going to be big enough. I hope it is, but if not, we'll just have to make do. Okay, so that's how much coverage I'm going to get with this blanket that I bought. Didn't really think about it. I bought it a long time ago, and I had no idea how big the pizza oven was going to be, and I thought this would do it, but you can see how silly this is. So you saw the piece of insulation that I had. It was 1 inch thick. Well, I kind of made it thinner, and I found some more insulation laying around the house. Not a whole lot, but as you can see, we kind of patched it in and we covered it. All right, so we got it all insulated and we got it tightened down with the chicken wire, as you can see. All right, you can watch us do it in fast motion. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix up our own stucco mix, and in order to do that, it's 1 part cement, 3 parts sand, and 1 part pelletized lime. So we're gonna mix that all up, and then we're gonna start smearing it on this thing. Well, it's the next morning. You can see I scratched it up a little bit, roughed it up. This is our scratch coat. You can still see chicken wire through it. It's a very, very thin coat over our insulation. Kind of looks wet up here, but I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, it makes a really hard shell on there. That's pretty impressive. I ordered a vent cap for the top so water can't get in there. And I got to make a door, and we're almost ready for our first fire. Kind of a finished coat on here. Came out decent, but the rain's coming, so we'll see. Okay, so I'm working on the door for this pizza oven. So what I've got here is a piece of steel. I brought it to somebody and they cut it for me. They cut this angle, which I used the template that I had for the opening of the oven itself. I used to trace onto this, and then I had them bend the bottom up so it will sit in there like this, okay? And then I drilled 3 holes in it. This is for my handle, and for the handle what I'm going to do is I took a piece of wood like this and I just cut it, took off all the all the little branches, and then I just ground it down so it's nice and smooth. And I kind of like how it looks with all the different kind of rough cuts in it. So I'm going to try and stain it with some used motor oil and then polyurethane, and we'll see how that looks. Now this is kind of just for show because it's not really going to be that accurate, but I just thought it was kind of cool. I got a thermometer. It goes up to 1,000 degrees, and that's what this hole here is for. In order to get this to sit right, I am going to take a bolt and drill it through this, and then it'll attach with a nut on the side, and then I'm going to get some copper pipe, 1/2 inch copper pipe I got laying around, and use that for a spacer sticking out, so the bolt's going to go through that. So it took 2 days to do this. It wasn't hard, it just took a long time. But it's finally done. So I don't know how well these stones are going to stay adhered to this thing. I just used thin set mortar. But you can see it looks pretty cool. I like the look. It gives it a little flair. But yeah, there it is, the pizza oven. Now the next thing, we're going to finish our door up, and then we will have our first fire. So it's July 31st, and today is the moment of truth. We're going to have our first fire in our new pizza oven. I've watched many video tutorials on how to do this because you want to slowly introduce the heat into your oven over a course of several days. And the reason for this is so that any moisture that's trapped inside the dome can escape slowly, because if you heat it up too quickly, it may turn into steam, and then that steam will expand at a rapid pace and could blow the side of your oven out. Now, I don't think that's going to happen here because this thing's been curing since I think April, so it's been quite a long process to get to where we are today. I'm pretty excited about this. This is going to be our first burn. I came across a process by some company that makes pizza ovens, and they recommend that you do 2 days, 8x8 burn. So what you're going to do is you're going to get logs that are about 8 inches and cross them, have 2 stacks, And we're gonna light that on fire today because you want to keep the temperature around 350 degrees for the first 2 days, and you want to burn that for at least 3 hours every day. You're gonna put the door on, keep that heat in there overnight, and that's gonna slowly draw out any moisture that may be trapped in your build. After the first 2 days, we're gonna increase the temperature. The fire is gonna be larger, and we're gonna increase the temperature, and instead of an 8x8 fire, we're gonna build a 10x10 fire for 2 days. And then 2 days after that, we're going to go 12x12 with a very large stack of wood at that point. After that, we should be able to burn, full-size logs and get that temperature right up to about 800 degrees so we can cook some really good pizza. Hopefully we don't crack this thing because like I said, it's been a long process. I know I have a temperature gauge on my door. That's not really going to be that accurate. It's kind of there for show. It will show the temperature somewhat. So without further ado, let's get this fire started. We'll just let that go for a little while, keep an eye on it, come back every so often and check it. All right, we've been burning for about an hour now. It's kind of hard to keep this thing going and keep the temperature down because I want to load it with wood, but 250. The dome, it's about 350. So it's right around where we want to be. So we're just gonna leave it there. Once you get the fire going, fairly decent. I know it's not a very big fire, but once you get the fire going, it really comes out I can see the heat coming out of the chimney, and the smoke dies down too once you get that fire going well. All right, so we've moved the coals to the back of the pizza oven. We're just about ready for our first pizza. You can see all the char and soot that's built up here. If you look, it's all black, but right there, see how it's all white? The dome inside is white as well. Once the pizza oven reaches a certain temperature, all that soot just burns off. However, it's collected on the entrance or the exit of the pizza oven. I think it looks loved and lived in, so we're gonna leave it the way it is. Okay, we're ready for our first pie really soon. We're trying to build our pizza right on the peel. Okay, right about there, it's 785 degrees. We are ready to go. First attempt. I'm probably gonna mess this up. All those toppings are gonna come off here. It's just, oh man, a lot of pressure.
Oh, actually did really good.
Really?
It actually is rising. It's kind of cool.
Okay, see the one side's good? Well, this is what you gotta get used to. There we go.
Not that close to the fire, though.
Okay. I gotta get my technique down, but we'll get there. Oh, the half's done.
Dad, I think you should flip it again.
All right, here we go. We're gonna flip it again because I think I may have flipped it a little early. I think my peel's too big.
There you go. It's good. It's good. Not that close to the fire. Back it up.
Right there.
Middle. Yep. Perfect.
We're almost done. Here we go. Let's see if we've got the right crispiness. Oh. What's that look like?
Oh.
Okay, awesome. Okay guys, eat up.
Eat up.
And now for the first bite. This has been 4 months in the making. Let's see if it's worth it. Oh, there's nothing like pizza in your backyard. All right, guys. Until next time, enjoy your backyard water garden.